Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of TCG Talk, back today with another video. And in today's video we're going to be doing another Grand Archive video. We're going to be going over Oceania Nationals, talk about what decks performed, how the meta is shaping up, and just kind of give you a quick recap of the event in case you missed it. So if you're new to the channel, welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by. Hopefully enjoy your stay. If you're a long-standing supporter, thank you so much as always. For anyone who's new coming from the Grand Archive side of things, I try to be very conversational in my videos. I want you to feel like you're having an in-depth discussion with someone at your local game store. That's try the vibe I try to give off. I don't do a lot of cuts or edits. I do some rotating slides and stuff like that and try to make it seem presentable, but it's more of a conversational tone. So hopefully you enjoy that. To my flesh and blood people, try to get you more into this game because this game is amazing and I want to do more content on it, and I'm going to be doing more content on it. But we'll get into it. So for Oceania Nationals, it was 124 participants for this Nationals, which is pretty good for a Nationals. This was the top 8 after Swiss. As you can see, pretty wide open, a lot of different decks. The cool thing about this event and some of the regionals leading up to it over the last 2 weeks is we're in a pretty open meta. We do have what I would think is one deck and one archetype that you kind of have to be ready for, but for the most part I would say arbitrarily there's 5 to 8 decks that if they won an Ascent or a Nationals, I would not be surprised. It's oh, okay, that makes complete sense. And there's also 2 or 3 decks that if they stole and won an event, I would be oh wow, that doesn't happen often, but I can understand why that deck would win, right? So we're in a super open meta. The 2 big archetypes you kind of have to be prepared for. One is the Water Fractals deck. That's kind of like the tier 0 deck in terms of being prepared. You have to know how to play into that deck or have a deck that is able to beat it. It's not tier 0 in terms of power above everything else, but it is tier 0 in terms of its consistency and what it does, and you have to be prepared for it. The other side of things I think you have to be prepared for is aggro, allies being able to deal with a wide board in some way, shape, or form. It might not be main boarded, but it has to be sideboarded. Those are kind of the 2 big archetypes. So all that being said, this was the top 8 after Swiss. We have, as you can see, 5 different decks. We have the Water Fractal list, Wind Luxem Zander, Wind Seru Gwaljad list. We have the Water Gimbu list, and then we have the Serene Wind Astraana list. So 5 different decks in the top 8. The final ended up being Cabin, the number 1 seed against the 7 seed Astraana, which is really cool. Astraana ended up being another Fractals deck and a Wind Luxem Zander, I think, in order to get to top 8 or get to the final. But Cabin ended up taking it. For anyone who's not a Grand Archive player, maybe my flesh and blood audience, Cabin is like Grand Archive's Pablo Pintor or Michael Hamilton, extremely good multi-ascent winning player, wins a lot of big events, kind of like the tier 0 player in the format, so at all times. So really fun event to watch, though. A lot of cool different decks, a lot of cool different games. I'm gonna bring up some of these deck lists here so we can kind of talk about. I'm not going to super in depth as I'm getting better at understanding what each deck does, but I have a decent understanding. This is a level 1 Dalchan list. Basically what you're trying to do is build all of these different fractals, as you can see here. Fractal of Insight, fractal of Intrusion, fractal of Rain, fractal of Snow. It's 20 plus fractals in the list, dissonant fractal. And basically they're pseudo mana rocks. Once you lay them down, they have a reservable, which means you can turn them sideways in order to use them as resources. And then you're trying to build a bunch of those and then use those to get card advantage by, instead of putting cards down into memory, you use them to pay for card cost. And then you're using these kill spells like Refracting Missile, Burst Asunder, and Shimmering Refraction in order to kill your opponent. And then you have some interaction in order to stop your opponent from A, doing what they want to do, and B, stopping your kill spells. Cards like Fracturize, cards like Glimmering Refusal, Lost in Thought, things like that. So basically you're trying to gain this, card advantage and this value through these fractals, and then use these fractals to kill your opponent. It's kind of like a mid-game combo deck. It kills in turns 3 to 5. It is extremely consistent, which is why it's so good. And, in order to interact with it, you have to put in very specific hate. And even then, you have to be able to progress your gameplay, and you can't just fully sideboard, because if you stop what they're doing, eventually they'll get there. So you have to find this middle ground. So it's a very good deck. It's not leaps and bounds better than every other deck in the format, but it is probably the most consistent, powerful deck in the format, which is why it's kind of like the tier 0 deck. But congrats to Caben, ended up taking it on an undefeated record, going what would have been 10 wins and 1 tie. The 1 tie I'm pretty sure came to this list if I remember correctly. I could be wrong. The win Luxem Zander. This is a level 3 champion. Basically, you're trying to level up all the way up to level 3 and then use cards like Lightweaver's Assault and Luxem Sight Lightweaver's Assault specifically in order to kill your opponent. Basically, Xander's level 3 ability, for anyone that's not aware, at the beginning of your recollection phase, you may reveal all cards in your memory. For each Luxem element card revealed this way, each opponent puts a card from their hand into their memory. So you put Lightweaver's Assault and all that down going into your level 3, or use fast spells to put it in after, before recollect. Or not even that, but you don't want to discard these cards. You want to keep them in your memory, then be able to put your opponent's cards down, and then use Lightweaver's Assault to kill your opponent, because it says reveal all cards in your memory, choose any amount of units, and deal damage equal to the amount of cards revealed this way, split among them. So you're trying to Lightweaver's Assault and then respond to Lightweaver's Assault with another Lightweaver's Assault in order to kill your opponent. It also has a class and element bonus of whenever you reveal Lightweaver's Assault from your memory, choose a unit, deal 2 damage to it. So if you already have it down in your memory, you can use that. But that's basically your in-game combo, and then you're using these mid-game value engines to gain prep counters, stuff like Sadie. Blood Harvester is obviously the biggest key ticket card, but you also have cards like Sirico Operative, which I think is a really cool card. I wish more people played this card. I love it. Using cards like Asyn Protector to be able to block and have a big body that also can help bounce your Sadie, and then just have that value engine. So it does have some mid-game combo potential with cards like Slice and Dice, and being able to put these big bodies down like Asyn Protector, and kill off things with Sadie, and then it tries to get to level 3. It's one of the most rewarding decks to play. You're constantly on a knife's edge on how to play this deck. There's decks that can go under you with aggro. There's decks that can go over top of you, because if you don't kill when you're supposed to kill, it can be really rough for you. But regardless, it's a super fun deck that does really well. Multiple in the top 8, so congrats to them for making it. Then we have 2 Gualja variants. We have the Wind Seiryu variant. For anyone that's not aware of this card, the Fabled Azurite Fate Stone. Basically, this transforms into a giant dragon, and this giant dragon forces you to attack it. It has a ton of health. It can hit you for a lot when you buff it. And so you're trying to get quest counters while getting to level 3 with Gualja. And then once you get to level 3, or once you flip this dragon, then you just hit them for a ton of damage. So super cool. Wind is a very good element for that. It has a lot of interaction, a lot of ways to stay alive, a lot of ways to filter through your deck quickly to get where you need to get, which is what Gualja wants to do. As you can see here, let me go here. And then we have the water variant that also got top 8. This one is also playing a different variant of Fate Stone. This is the Fabled Sapphire Fate Stone. So this is Gimbu. Gimbu gets plus X life until the end of turn, where X is the amount of water element cards in your graveyard. Activate this ability only once per turn. So it already has 9 life, but it's going to get even more life. It has Spell Shroud and Taunt. You're basically trying to buff this Gimbu up and kill with it, along with some other stuff. They are running some Fractal package in here, which is really interesting. Running cards like Fractal of Polar Depths, Fractal of Rain, and then using Refractal Missile to get a little bit of value there. And then they just have some really good key synergy water cards. So I'm not as familiar with the Gualja decks, but one thing that's really cool about this champion is when Abyssal Haven first came out, this wasn't as received or as popular as the Dao-Chan decks. It didn't really perform as well. Not as popular, but it didn't perform as well as the Dao-Chan Fractal deck, because that one was kind of intuitive on how that deck was going to be built. This one has had to have time to cook, had to have time to kind of refine and get better. And since then, now you're seeing Gualjas pop up all over the place, which is super cool to see. Then we had what my favorite top 8 list was, the Win Astra Astraana list. This list does some really cool stuff. What this list is trying to do is this hyper speed to level 3 as quickly as possible. And then you're using the crazy broken card of Polaris. You may activate this card from your material deck. If you do, Polaris enters the field arrested. When you sacrifice an herb, put an age counter on Polaris. Then you banish Polaris. When you turn it sideways as a class bonus, deal X damage to all allies, then generate up to X comic bolts. Bolt cards and shuffle them into your deck. X is the amount of age counters. So basically you're trying to make a bunch of herbs, sacrifice it. Let's just say you make 4 herbs, and you sacrifice all 4. You deal 4 damage to all allies, so you'd be able to wipe their board. And then you put 4 Cosmic Bolts into your list. And now you have the 4 Cosmic Bolts you just put into your deck, plus the 4 that are already in there. And then you're trying to hit them a bunch of times with Cosmic Bolt. Cosmic Bolt has Star Calling too, as if you're looking at this card while glimpsing. So this deck glimpses a lot. It opts the top of the deck like a wizard, right? It's Cleric, but it's like a wizard. Where if you look at this card while glimpsing, you may activate it by paying this cost. So you pay 2 instead of 3. It says it deals 4 damage to target unit, plus an additional 2 for each card named Cosmic Bolt in your graveyard and banishment. So you're trying to, the first Cosmic Bolt comes in for 4, the second Cosmic Bolt comes in for 6, the third Cosmic Bolt comes in for 8, and so on and so forth. And when you have 8 Cosmic Bolts in your list, you can do that really quickly and kill your opponent. Using cards like Comet Fall also deal 3 damage to non-Astra element units. Class bonus deal 4 damage to them instead, so it's another board wipe mechanic. You're using cards like Beseech the Winds and Dungeon Guide to get up to level 3 quickly. It's a super fun deck. It's like a semi-combo deck. And then you're using cards like 3 Visits to heal, cards like Fast Cure to heal and keep yourself alive, Nascent Barrier to keep yourself alive. So you're trying to play for that level 3 and then just bolt your opponent to death. Really, really cool list. So those are some of the top 8 lists. Some of the honorable mentions, this Fire Aggro Zander list that Ninja Turtle was running. I think Ninja Turtle started out like 5-0, and then unfortunately kind of, sometimes you run into the wrong matchups at the end of the day. And I think they ended up winning, or they lost. Sorry, you're going to see it's not quite centered, but I'm just looking at it really fast. Yeah, so I think they started out 5-0, and then they lost their last 2 and tied 1. So kind of fizzled out at the end, but it's okay. It's super cool list. Goes up to level 2 Zander in order to get those preparation counters, and then just use those preparation counters for value. This is an aggro list through and through. You're using stuff like Red Hair, Arthur, these really kind of overrate allies that synergize really well with each other. Cinder Keeper is really good as well. Then you're also using kind of your prep counters in order to play cards, like Planet Explosive is a really good one. Ignited Stab's a really good one. And then finally, you have cards like Blazing Throw in order to kind of, once you get what you need out of Poison Dagger, kind of use Blazing Throw to end the game. So super cool aggro variant list. Kills very, very fast. Shout out to them. They got 10th, so or 9th or 10th. So really, really good. Another one that I was expecting to see a little bit more of, but we only actually had one in the top 24 of the event, was a Fire Aggro Lorraine list. People were really excited about this list because of the new card Clarent Reimagined, which has some counterplay into Fractals, which is like the tier 0 deck of the format right now, or at least the deck that people were teching the most for. Clarent is able to kind of help combat that. So a lot of people have been bringing in Fire Aggro Lorraine lists to be able to pressure Fractals with a lot of Fire Aggro gameplay, but also be able to use Clarent as a kind of a safeguard, right? Using cards like similar to the Aggro Zander list, cards like Arthur, cards like Blazing Throw and Red Hair, but also they have cards like Rending Flames in here, which is really cool. Fiery Momentum, Home by Fire, all these different just really aggro based cards. Didn't do as well this event, didn't have as much representation, but still a deck you need to keep an eye out for. And then finally, I have to do it. Tristan's my favorite list. This is a very, not unique, but this is a very different Tristan list. Most Tristan lists are going to level 3 with Shadow Strike. This one is just a unique Allies level 1 variant, using, cards like Sadie, cards like Dailu to get a lot of value, cards like Prime Exemplar to get a lot of value, stuff like that. And just kill your opponent really quickly is what they're trying to do. It's like an aggro win list. So this one was really cool. I think it got 19th or something like that. But Tristan didn't perform as well as she normally does in these events. But regardless, that is some of the decks from the event. Hopefully I did a decent enough job at covering them. If you want to, I'll leave a link down below. I know it's not centered because I'm a professional YouTuber and this is how I do things. But this I'll even fix it for you really fast. Again, professional YouTuber. I told y'all this is a conversational style YouTube channel, and we're gonna prove it right here because I'm gonna completely change this on the fly for fun. This is for anyone that's not aware, because I do have an audience that is not Grand Archive related. This is a really cool website to look at. It's called Fractal of Insight, and it kind of just gives you every event that's going on, from, you know, regular events. You have store champions, regionals, ascent, nationals, worlds, and you can kind of click what you want. So like if you just want to see like the big events, like ascents in each format. If you want to see regionals, you can do that, and you can click on them. So like this was Oceania regionals, but we can go down to Sydney regionals, or Oceania nationals, Sydney regionals. Click on the player list. It'll show you all the deck lists. You can click on meta composition. It'll give you like the meta breakdown. Really, really intuitive website that's really fun to like look over, especially if you're new to the game, you're trying to get an idea what decks to play, where to go with things, etc. So hopefully you enjoy that. But yeah, thank y'all so much for listening. I am going to be doing more Grand Archive content as much as I can. I'm starting to really get into the game, start to get my locals now that work is finally like stabilized on a good schedule, and try to give you as much. So if you're on the Grand Archive side of things, please let me know what you would want to see. I'm really thinking right now of doing like the one thing I don't see a whole lot in the community, and maybe I'm wrong. Definitely point me to someone if they've done this type of stuff a lot. But for newer players, like, you know, what is wind known for? What is water known for? What is fire known for? I did a video similar to that a while back. But I also want to do like advanced elements. Like, what is each advanced element's strengths and weaknesses? You know, what are they most known for if you're trying to pick an element to play into? What is each deck type mainly known for? Like, what is a win, luxem, zander's win condition? You know, what are key sideboard cards depending on the meta? Stuff like that. I just want to be able to give like more general content like that, and hopefully that makes sense. If you like that type of stuff, let me know. If you want me to do something different, also let me know. I'm getting better at this game every day. I feel like I have a decent understanding of it, but not quite as much as I do like other card games I play. But I do want to be more consistent with content in this game and in this space. So please let me know what you'd like to see. I love any constructive feedback I possibly can. If I miss anything, if I say anything wrong, let me know. I'm not going to get offended at all. I want to be better and give you the best information possible. So hopefully you enjoyed this type of content. If you did, please leave a like, comment, or subscribe. If you don't want to, it's completely fine. No worries there. Give me any constructive feedback you can. Go find our Grand Archive creator. Let's get more people seeing this game. And yeah, I'll see you all next time on TCG Talk. Thank you all so much.